Senator John Cornyn represents the great state of Texas. He's also a retired Supreme Court justice in Texas. So I want to begin, Senator Cornyn, by thanking you for joining me. Good morning. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. Glad to be with you.
You know the First Amendment. Are you shocked or surprised by the gag order imposed on President Trump? Now, I'm Switzerland in the Republican nominating process, but I'm not Switzerland on the Constitution. I am shocked by the order. What do you think?
Well, I am too. I think people they have it exactly backwards. I think it was Louis Brandeis who said that the best antidote for bad information is more information, not censorship. And so I think it's a bad precedent.
I think it'll be overturned if interlocutory appeals are permitted. Now, Senator, let's talk about Iran. Do you believe they are complicit in the atrocity of 10/7?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you'd have to be really blind to the long-standing, decades-long war that Iran has been waging, mainly using proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, against not only Israel, but against Americans. And it has American blood on its hands. I remember in Iraq, for example, American soldiers being killed by IEDs, these explosively formed penetrators, and they came from Iran. So, yes, I don't think there's any question. I think it's foolish to try to say that Iran was not involved in this attack against Israel.
No, we can't put an MRI on what Secretary Blinken and President Biden are saying and doing with Israel right now. But I have my suspicions that they're holding Israel back as opposed to 100% supporting them. What do you think, Senator?
Well, I think we should get out of the way and let Israel do what it needs to do. And unfortunately, deterrence has not worked, in part because of some of the appeasement of the Biden administration when it comes to Iran. They feel emboldened. They have been able to enrich uranium and sell oil, which is supposed to be sanctions, and their economy is back running again, so they're feeling like they have the wind at their back. And a lot of that is because of the environment created by the appeasement of the Biden administration.
Now, Senator, I want to turn to the possibility of Iran's Hezbollah puppet firing on American ships in the Mediterranean. What do you think the response of the United States would be if that happens?
I think we ought to respond with the military force and to make sure that Iran knows that sort of attack against Americans will not go unresponded to. I mean, these are not people you can reason with. It's not a cost-benefit analysis for them. It's an ideological battle. And, of course, they're the number one state sponsor of terrorism in the world. And the Biden administration treats them as though they're a rational actor. They are not. And they will only understand force in response to an attack against Americans. Let's hope they aren't tempted to do that. But if they do, they ought to be met with an iron fist.
When Soleimani landed in Iraq to direct more attacks on American troops there, President Trump ordered that he be taken out, and he was. And then he told Iran, if you harm another American, we'll hit the following. I think it was 50 installations. I can't recall. They sent some missiles at al-Assad, but we got a warning from them first that they were coming. That was kind of their way to escalate, to de-escalate. Do you think that kind of warning has been delivered by President Biden to Iran?
Well, I hope so. The carrier strike groups that have been moving into the Mediterranean, I think, sends a pretty potent message. But again, these are not rational actors, Hugh. And of course, Russia is loving the fact that the United States and its allies are being distracted from Ukraine to Israel. And Putin, probably with some justification, believes that this will dilute or weaken our resolve to continue to support Ukraine, which I believe is in our national security interest. So this is a very dangerous situation, and I think we need to be very careful and very firm in the way we respond.
Then let me conclude with the speaker vote tonight, Senator Cornyn. You've never been a member of the House. You've been in the Senate a long time. You know the Senate intimately well. Do you have advice for any of the conservative holdouts or center-right holdouts in the House? I think we've got to get a speaker, and I think it'll happen tonight. What is your thought on this?
Well, of course, as you know, Hugh, the House doesn't really care one bit what the Senate thinks. But let me just say this. I think it's important for Republicans to demonstrate that we can govern and we can't do that without a speaker. So I hope the House is able to rally around someone. It looks like Jim Jordan's the guy. I found Jim to be a good person to work with on the Judiciary Committee, and somebody who I think has come a long way since he helped found the Freedom Caucus. So we got to govern, and the first requirement is we need a speaker. So best of luck to him.
Senator Cornyn, thank you for joining me this morning. Always a pleasure to talk to you, especially when we've got such a mix of issues as we do today: national security, judiciary, politics. It's always in John Cornyn's wheelhouse. Thank you, Senator.